gonna have to set an alarm to Taniwa, day 2 of requesting Taniwa, 3, 4, 5, what? What? Day 28 of requesting a budget Taniwa deck? Okay, surely this commander ought to be something really cool and really powerful and special to warrant all of this. Let's go ahead and see. What does this commander look like? That is certainly a big fish. And it's got phasing. And it makes you lose all your lands by phasing them out. Huh. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and do something that I don't generally do when I'm building a deck. Let's check out EDH Rec real quick. Let's do that. Let's see what people over on EDH Rec have built out of this thing with only 249 decks available. Stacks. Stacks? 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 I'm not playing Stacks! No, okay, you know what? Just for that, we are going to build budget Taniwa. We're going to work with a budget of, say, $40. And we're gonna build this monstrosity, whatever the hell this is, with 0 removal at all, just to make it as far away from Stacks as humanly possible. Our goal is going to be to bonk a player to death and nothing more. So let's see what we can come up with. Taniwa is a 5-mana 7/7 meme. It's got phasing, so every single turn it either phases onto your board or off of your board, meaning that you will not have access to it for 50% of the game. And the turns that it spawns onto the board, as phasing happens during the untap step, well, if it phases onto the board, then it phases out your lands. This means that turns that you have access to Taniwa, you do not have access to your lands, and vice versa. This is probably why people built this thing as a Stacks deck. I don't think that's what we're going to be doing, though. I would rather play this as straight as humanly possible, but obviously there's gonna be some caveats here, right? So how can we actually win with something like this? Well, looking at Taniwa, it does have phasing and trample. Trample means it's got a little bit of evasion, it can get in on an opponent's life, and phasing means that there's several turns of the game where people will simply not have access to removal for it. Sorcery speed removal is going to be particularly weak to Taniwa, as there's going to be several turns it's just not on a board. Okay, sure, maybe that's something we can work with. What else does it have going for it? If it's getting rid of our lands, then maybe we need to have a high amount of mana rocks, which is totally not a way to justify not running removal in this deck. It's totally because we want it to be a meme, not for any other reason. So, okay, we're going to have a heavy amount of mana rocks. What mana rocks can we use to make this meme an actual dream come true? Oh, the bobbleheads are mana rocks. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about each of these. Each bobblehead is a 3-mana mana rock that can add 1 mana of any color for us, but it has an extra ability that is powered up by having more bobbleheads on the board. So, Intelligence bobblehead allows us to draw X cards, where X is the number of bobbleheads we control. That's already pretty good. The Endurance bobblehead adds a mana of any color, but it allows up to X target creatures to gain 1/0 and Indestructible, which isn't super useful for our deck. Charisma bobblehead will give us a lot of white soldier tokens based on the bobbleheads we have. We can make use of that, certainly. The Perception bobblehead lets us look at the top X cards of our library and cast any spell with mana value 3 or less from among them without paying their mana cost. That will allow us to circumvent not having our mana available to us with our commander. The Agility bobblehead allows up to X target creatures to gain haste until end of turn and not be able to be blocked except by creatures with haste. That's actually fairly useful. It adds more evasion for our commander, and it can give our commander haste when it comes out initially. The Strength bobblehead puts X/1/1 counters on a creature where X is the number of bobbleheads we control. Hey, we're actually getting somewhere because a phased-out creature keeps its counters. Okay, and the Luck bobblehead lets us roll a 6-sided die, and any amount of them based on the amount of bobbleheads we have. And for every single time that we get an even number, we make a treasure token. But if we get 6 rolls, if we get 7 rolls that are all 6, then we win the game immediately. That's statistically unlikely to happen, so we're not going to worry too much with that. But the ability to make treasures is helpful because that is mana we will have access to without our commander. We need some other ways to get cards out for free, though, so let's go ahead and chuck in an As Foretold, which will allow us to cast cards for free even when we don't have access to our mana or even our mana rocks. Cool. We're getting somewhere. What's some other ways we can circumvent losing our ability to cast cards when we want? Well, phasing in happens on the untap step, and phasing out happens afterwards. So if that is the case, then what if we added in a bunch of ways to cast spells at instant speed? Let's go ahead and add 5 of those. Leyline of Anticipation will let us cast any non-land spells that would have Flash. Valley Flood Caller does the same for non-creature spells. Born Upon a Wind does the same thing only once. Shimmermer does it for artifacts, and we have 30 artifacts in the deck. And Tidal Barracuda gives everybody the ability to cast spells for free, but cucks our opponents out of doing it on our turn. Okay, these should allow us to cast our spells right before our lands phase out. We can untap our lands, use them for stuff at instant speed, and then our lands phase out. So it's like we didn't lose our lands at all to our commander's wonky, gimmicky ability. That's neat. How are we actually going to keep our commander protected, though? Our commander does have phasing, but that's not enough to keep our commander on the board and keep us safe. Let's go with 6 different ways to protect it, beginning with the classic Swiftfoot Boots, Hexproof and Haste, as you do. Propaganda to keep ourselves from getting hit by our opponent's creatures. Eel Umbra and Drake Umbra to give our commander a pseudo version of indestructibility with its totem armor. Curator's Ward to give it hexproof all the time, and Starlight Mantle so that it has hexproof the turn we drop down the Starlit Mantle. All of that should be enough to keep our commander alive and kicking for long enough to make this bonkers-ass, dumb-ass strategy maybe half-ass work, okay? I'm working with shoestring and glue here, apparently. We do need our commander to be able to get in, though, and deal damage. Trample is one form of evasion, and it's certainly a good one, but let's add 14 more ways to make sure our commander gets in there, and if we can make sure that these power up our commander as well, then that'll make it easier to get in the end zone. So, Astral Wingspan gives our commander 2/2 and flying, and when it touches the board, we draw a card. That's already doing pretty well. Flight for 1 mana just gives it flying. That's fine. It's not great, but it is 2 cents and easy to slot into any deck. If you want to remove it and put an actual removal spell in there, by all means. Ghostly Wings gives it 1/1 and flying, and we can discard a card to return the creature to our hand at any point. One with the Wind gives a creature 2/2 with flying. Perfect. Fly gives the creature flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, we go into the dungeon, which gives us access to scries and treasures and all kinds of fun stuff. Cartouche of Knowledge gives a creature 1/1 with flying and replaces itself when we play it. Arcane Flight gives a creature 1/1 and flying. Perfect. Rune of Flight gives no stats, but it does draw us a card and give the creature flying. Spectral Flight gives us a 2/2 buff and flying. Vow of Flight gives 2/2 and flying, and the inability to attack ourselves. Tricks of the Trade gives a creature 2/0 and unblockable. Infiltrator's Mage Mark gives it 1/1 and the ability to not be blocked by anything if it doesn't have Defender. Aether Tunnel gives it 1/1 or 1/0 and unblockable, and Aqueous Form gives it unblockable and the ability to scry us by 1 anytime that it swings. That should be enough to get in there. Now we need to close out a game. So let's add a little more power to our commander with these 4 raw power cards. Psychic Impetus to give it 2/2 and the ability to scry us. Auramancer's Guise to give it 2/2 for every aura attached to it with vigilance. Nettle Cyst to give it 1/1 for every artifact and enchantment we control. And Helm of the Gods to give it 1/1 for every enchantment we control. There, maybe that will be enough to make sure that this sea serpent thing, meme, dragon, whatever, can actually do its job. Why am I making this deck? Why am I building a deck improperly? What the hell is going on with me? I don't understand what We do need to make sure that the deck can dig into the deck and make sure that we can dig and get cards out of the deck. So draw packages are here to dig and get cards out of the deck. In fact, let's turn one of the draw cards into a win con. My editor, who I don't have, is telling me to play this entire video straight from now on because I have made multiple mistakes, and starting a Magic the Gathering channel apparently was one of them. Nerd Rage gives us the ability to draw 2 cards, and if we have 10 cards in our hand, then we have +10/+10 on the commander. In most situations, this will just win us the game. Cool. Entity Tracker says anytime an enchantment touches our board, we will draw a card. Kumena's Awakening is effectively Phyrexian Arena, but it is blue, drawing us a card every upkeep as long as we have the city's blessing. Bident of Thassa Reconnaissance Mission and Coastal Piracy will draw us a card every time our commander touches somebody's face violently. Combat Research and Curious Inquiry do the exact same thing, but also add +1/+1 to the creature as well. Flight of Fancy will draw us 2 cards when we play it, and of course give our commander another instance of flying in case we needed more ways to be evasive. And Matsalani the Great Door allows us to get rid of redundant cards in our hand to draw and loot through our deck. A very important thing to do when we are playing a deck that has nothing but memes and is dying on fume-exhausted dreams. This next area is where I would talk about removal, but we don't have any, so yay. I'm not sure why you're watching this part of the video. I already told you, we're not running removal in this deck. Let's go ahead and add 17 pieces of ramp. Why not? Yeah, you could actually cut like 5 or 6 pieces of ramp out of here and swap them out for removal if you want to play this deck legitimately as an actual deck. You could also drop like 3 or 4 of the ways to make the commander evasive, and that would also allow you to play more removal and make this more of an actual deck instead of the meme that I'm playing it as. But I'm going to be honest, I was presented with a commander that seemed like the only thing it exists on is the dream of a dying child. So we're going to be running 17 ramp pieces to make up for the fact that we will not have access to our lands when our commander is available. No other reason. Letter of Acceptance can sack itself to draw a card when we need it to, and also gives us mana of any color. Mere Convert pays life for mana. Fractured Power Stone is a basic mana we always have access to. Bonder's Ornament can draw us cards when we don't need it as ramp, and it is otherwise just a 3-mana rock. Sky Diamond's a 2-mana rock. Commander Sphere's a 3-mana rock that allows us to draw a card by sacking it. Stone Speaker's Crystal does give us access to graveyard removal and also gives us access to 2 bits of mana. Dreamstone Hedron gives us access to 3 bits of mana if we spend 6 mana into it. Worn Power Stone gives us 2 mana for 3. Mind Stone gives us 1 mana for 2, and also lets us sack it to draw a card. Honored Heirloom gives us more ways to get rid of a graveyard if need be. Hedron Archive can draw us cards while also being a 2-mana rock. Everflow Chalice can be whatever mana rock you need it to be. It is the ditto of mana rocks in terms of the amount of mana it can give you. Sonic Screwdriver can make our commander unblockable, also scry stuff. Arcane Signet is a basic 2-mana rock. Decanter of Endless Water is a way to keep a maximum hand size of whatever the hell we want, and Heraldic Banner will give our commander 1/0 because it is blue. And after that, we have 33 islands, a myriad landscape, and a pit of offerings, because the only removal we're going to be doing, I guess, is getting rid of graveyards. There! I've built your deck. Your whatever the hell this was. Oh, you want me to play the thing? Oh. Okay, well, let's do that, I guess. I don't even know what a keepable hand is in this deck, so I'm just going to keep whatever the first thing that comes up is. We've got a Bobblehead, we got a Stone Speaker Crystal, we've got some draw. Yeah, sure, why not? We'll just go ahead and draw a card for the opening turn, play an island, and then go to turn 2. Another island. And then go to turn 3. Another island. Let's go ahead and give our strategy away and play that Intelligence Bobblehead. Next turn, we're going to go ahead and play that island, and we're going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4 to get that Stone Speaker Crystal on the board, and then pay 3 more and get Sonic Screwdriver on the board. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 permanents, so we cannot get our Ascension yet, but we do not need it as of right now. Next turn comes up. Let's go ahead and play an Island and pay 1, 2, 3, 4 to get Bident of Thassa on the board, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's get our Commander on the board. Yay! Now we're cooking with not even gas, because once we get to turn 6, our Commander is gonna phase itself out. Woo! Then our upkeep begins after our untap step, and we still have access to our land. So let's go ahead and play this island, look at what we have here, and go 1, 2, 3. Play the entity tracker, so when we play enchantments, we'll be able to get stuff. Looking at where we're at right now, we actually could just put an Arcane Flight on this to draw a card. Why not? Tricks of the Trade is the next thing we drew. We don't need it, so let's pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the Intelligence Bobblehead in order to draw 1 card and pass on to our opponents. Now we hit turn 7. Our Commander is allowed to be on the board, and all of our lands phase out. They are all gone. We don't have access to them. We are stuck with these cards here. So we play a single land. That is the only land we have access to this turn. And let's do 1, 2, 3 for the Agility Bobblehead and pay 1, 2 for 1 with the Wind to give our Commander 2/2 and flying. Now we can punch, or we get a draw off of that, I guess, and we can punch somebody in the face with our Commander and draw another card because of the Bident of Thassa. Cool. Then we get to turn 8. Our Commander phases out. We are sad. We play an Island and pay 1, 2, 3, 4 for Kamena's Awakening, and 1, 2, 3 for a Command Sphere. We draw a card because of Kamena's Awakening. Why not? Let's also play a Mind Stone. We don't need all of this, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sure, we'll get our draw off the Intelligence Bobblehead. Then, next turn comes up, our Commander's back, our lands are cucked, we play an Island, 1, 2, 3, Endurance Bobblehead. Yay, we can give our creature 1, oh, what other Bobblehead do we have here? Agility. That'll give it haste if it ever dies. That's cool. We'll pay 1, 2, 3, 4. Tricks of the Trade on our Commander to give it 2 more. Our Commander now has 11 power. It hit somebody for 9 before. So our Commander actually has the ability to maybe kill a person, almost. We played that. We drew the island. Oh, we have another draw because of Kamena's Awakening. It's another island. Cool. I guess if we decided to use the Endurance Bobblehead, we could have added 1/0 to the Commander, but we don't have the extra ability to do that because our Commander cucked our lands away. So we hit somebody to get them to 20 Commander damage on turn 9. And then the next turn, our Commander is gone, and we play an As Foretold. And it's going to continue like this, filled with riveting gameplay of being sad and waiting for our Commander to kill somebody. If you manage to eliminate somebody with this deck, you are honestly the king of games, okay? Yugimoto looks at you and goes, hey, you've done it. He'll give you a pat on the back, and he'll pass the blunt to you, I guess. I don't know. I'm looking at this and I'm like, I understand what I can do with this. I understand that the deck technically can work, but it's so excruciating having the Commander flit in and out. And I didn't want to build a deck with Taniwa that didn't rely on Taniwa as the win con because that felt like a cop-out. So here we are with this Taniwa deck that comes back on the next turn, cucking our lands away. But we can play this island and do Runa Flight on the Commander to draw 2, and then Coastal Piracy, I guess, so that we can draw more cards afterwards. Punch somebody with our Commander for dead to draw 1, 2 cards. Yay! Like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. It's this Commander's a meme. You bust this out when everybody wants to play nothing but memes, okay? I can't tell you anything besides this is just the memeiest of things. It is a draw Voltron commander that removes your own lands out of the game. I'm sure if you take this and build onto it, you'll be able to find something interesting to work with. So what if you actually had a bit of money? What would you actually spend that money on upgrading this deck? Okay, I've joked around throughout this entire video because of the nature of this commander, but while trying to find upgrades for the deck, I actually realized something kind of scary. This commander is fantastic if you put the right upgrades in it. And I'm not saying that as a meme anymore. I mean, the first card I'm going to suggest as a meme, it's Meteor Golem, because the turn that you don't have your commander out, you need something to do with all that mana, and a Meteor Golem can get rid of anything that blue typically struggles with. But outside of that, if you wanted to upgrade this deck, you would shave off some of the unnecessary evasion, you would shave off some of the unnecessary ramp in the deck, and you would add in some pretty banger cards. Let's go ahead and convert this deck into an actual deck for the upgrade section. We get a Meteor Golem in here, we get Negate in here, and this will allow us to keep our commander protected even better throughout the game. An Arcane Denial and a Counterspell as more ways to counter things. A Reliquary Tower as a land to let us have that extra capability for our hand size when we try to make Nerd Rage win the game for us. But here's where things get interesting. Because our commander can phase itself out repeatedly through the game, if you are upgrading this deck into an actual legitimate deck, then Oblivion Stone and Nevinral's Disc are legitimately godsends. Because you can let your commander phase out and then blow up all the permanents on the board, and then your commander phases in with all of its equipment and stuff on it. It's just there and unaffected at all at that point. So things like O-Stone and Nev's Disc just end up being this ridiculously powerful one-sided removal that probably wins you the game in these kind of situations. Fire Shrieker also. I didn't build the deck with a Fire Shrieker originally for the meme, but after looking at the deck, if you put in a Fire Shrieker, just attaching this for 2 mana on the commander can just cause you to win a game very, very quickly. Whelming Wave and Devastation Tide are also more ways, and Engulf the Shore as well, are more ways that I would use to wipe a board clean so that we are able to keep on pressing the advantage to our opponents while being basically unaffected by these cards because we are phasing out or otherwise are a Leviathan that doesn't get affected by these. Horizon Stone is another way to keep our mana that, again, if I was playing a non-meme version of the deck, this would be in 100%. This would allow us to tap our mana as it's about to phase out so that we do not lose all of that mana. A Midnight Clock would also be a better mana rock to add in than anything else, as we do want a good hand size for one of the win cons of the deck. Also, I would add in Pongify and Rapid Hybridization as more ways to get rid of problematic stuff on the board, more board wipes in the form of Spectral Deluge and Cyclonic Rift, and probably one of the most devastating board wipes you could add into the deck is All Is Dust. Make everybody sacrifice all of their colored permanents, and you will not lose anything because your commander has almost all of your permanents on it, and it is phased out. Again, in a non-meme version of the deck, this is what you would see, but I thought it was way funnier this way. Lightning Greaves also, just another way to make sure the commander is protected, would be good, but Lightning Greaves, bear in mind, only goes in the deck if you also have a good way to produce tokens to slip the Lightning Greaves on repeatedly, because otherwise you will lose the ability to get anything on the commander, as Shroud does prevent you from putting enchantments and artifacts equipped to it. That all said, this commander broke my brain. I started it going, there's no way this is going to work, and then I got halfway through realizing, oh, maybe it could work, and then I went, oh, well, the way it could work is far less funny than playing the meme. So let's play the meme and then stuff the actual way you would make the commander work in the upgrade section. I don't know if that's actually the right way to go about a video like this, and it feels maybe a little bit like a cop-out, but I guess not as much of a cop-out as it would have been if I made an actual stacks deck, which seems to be what everybody was doing with this before, all like 10 of you. Anyway, I don't know what else to put here at the end of this video. I saw the day 28 of this and thought, you know, it's been a month. I need to make this for this person. I need to go ahead and build this deck. So, Bless the Blades and also Yargle 1 And you know what, Tal Yes in Wilson, I think that's the right way. All of you mentioned this deck in one form or another. So there you go. There's a way to play it. And I even gave you the way to take the deck and deconvert it from meme status into an actual deck. If this is a thing that you really want to do, then by all means. And hell, maybe I'll make a budgetless version of this deck sometime to show what it can actually do with a phasing in and phasing out commander. But for the time being, I'm going to lay off this particular meme for as long as I possibly can. Anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. A bit different than what I would normally do, but I hope it is appreciated nonetheless. That said, thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing if you have. If you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing. And as always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here. Hey, just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who help keep me afloat and help keep this channel going. YouTube and Twitch are wonderful platforms, but at the end of the day, stability is not one of their strong suits. If you want to support my channel, then obviously Patreon is one of the best ways of doing that. Link is in the description. But I do want to personally thank everybody who has contributed to the channel. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Autumn and Angel, Nixie Chan, Agamotto, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. And everyone else who supports my channel and lets me do what I do full-time. This is a dream job of mine that I never believed that I would be able to take full-time, and with your help, I've been able to do it. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I will see you all in the next one, hopefully.